I'm Marshall Shannon with Ministry Design Training, and our company is Ministry Design Concepts. I'm a pre-construction navigator. Today's tutorial is dealing with programming and the exercises that we have given to you to go with, to accompany the videos that we have provided for you in our webinars. And so in preparing your programming information for the design team, we've given you these documents, these exercises and examples, and then a rule of thumb for per square foot per person. And we want to go through these so that you've got some support to know what we intended you to use these for and how to use them. This first document, first of three that we're going to show you today, is a programming exercise. Let me say right off the bat, it isn't customized to your church. It is a generic programming exercise to help you formulate your own. But basically, if you put together a programming packet, information for the design team, you want to explain to them the 24/7, 365 use and the future projected use. That's why you need to know God's vision for your ministry. It's looking at the 24/7, 365 use of your property today and tomorrow. And you want to tell them in a format it in a way that they can extract the information and be able to master plan and design your next building project. So as we look at this programming exercise, the first thing that we're going to start with is the worship space. What I've done is ask you about the projections of the growth of your worship space, but you need to do that for every ministry in your church. Meaning, worship, yes. If you have multiple worship services, yes. If you have children's church going on during that time, preschool, church going on, and nursery, if you've got anything going on during worship that you've got to be able to communicate that information correctly to the design team, because they're going to base their design on the numbers that you're giving them. So if you tell them you want it to hold 800 people, and they go design you an auditorium that holds 800 people according to the IBC, International Building Codes, which I think is still at 18 inches per person. And folks, I haven't fit in 18 inches sitting down since third grade. I'm kidding, of course, but I'm a lot wider than that, and so is your average American. So your North American churchgoer would fit into 20 to 22 to 24 inches, and plus this, 800 seats. If you want to get 800 people in there, there better be enough room, linear footage, for them to sit in. And secondly, the 80-20 rule put together by an Italian economist, when your auditorium is 80% full, so 1,000 seats where 1,000 people could sit, 80% of that's 800, you better build a 1,000-seat auditorium, because when it reaches its full capacity, it's going to be 800 people in there, not 1,000. Not for any length of time. Discussion for another webinar, perhaps, as we talk about this. And so you want to cover your ministry area and answer these questions and then tailor it to your own ministry. Auxiliary ministries during your worship service. I already mentioned this. Children's church, nurseries, ushers, security staff. You may have offices and places and storage for all these auxiliary ministries that are going on, but I've given you a way to put the name, the oldest age. So if you've got a class with 2s and 3s, 3 is the oldest. Well, there's square footage I'm going to show you that is allotted for that age group. And the architect needs to know who the person is using it and their age, because he is appointing how the child normally uses it. And that's before we ever get into your philosophy of ministry and your methodologies. So you use round tables, rectangle tables. You put the chairs against the wall in the classroom for the children, or put them on a mat, or all of the above, that you're using it in different ways during a Sunday service. And so I've given you these, not an exhaustive, but a list there. Then you go to education and fellowship space. I just combine these two. You can separate them. Well, what is the total number of people you are educating at one time? What is the total number of people you are feeding at one time? Now, are you using round tables, the 8-foot round tables, or the 8-foot square or rectangle tables? Should have said rectangle, not square tables. Or both? Do you know if you have what you need and what kind of kitchen you want, meaning warming or commercial? So as you look through all of these, administrative space, and you want to tell them how many pastors, how many support staff, how much storage, copy room, other equipment, a place to count money, you've got to go through all of this and tell them what you've got. So in each one of these areas, if you have Sunday school, adult Bible classes, I've given you a number of places to fill that up. You can make up your own, give it to them, and maybe your architect will have a programming exercise for you. But if you do this, you'll be ready and have all the information collected. Storage space, lobby and foyer space, events and activities that you may have, one after another. This is not exhaustive, but it's a good head start toward helping you pull together the information you need in order to help your design team design exactly the right ministry space for your church. From that, we'll go to the ministry space rule of thumb that I was talking about. And I've put here just a range, and your architect will apply tailored numbers to your particular ministry function. So it would be good for your architect if he's close enough to come attend your services and see exactly how your nursery, preschool, primary, junior, middle school, high school adults do educational classes, worship, activities, fellowship, gathering, whatever you're doing in your church. He's going to be assigning a square footage to that to make the space large enough to let you grow to your maximum level that you're going to put in that space. And so here's the rule of thumbs by the age group, by the student, and here's the rule of thumb, a quick chart, per activity. So if you're going to build a worship center, an auditorium, a sanctuary, wherever you call it, the average is 15 to 18 square feet. I put 15 to 20 here. That includes the 15 to 20 square feet, includes restrooms, foyer, platform, seating, baptismal pool. Now, having said that, if you're going to put down stadium seating that's permanently affixed to the floor or pews, you better decide in your philosophy of ministry how easy you want it to be for people to get by each other as they're sitting in a row. How long do you want a row to be? There are rules for that. I think 17 seats is the most any row ought to be. I could be wrong on that. I'm doing it out of my memory. But in doing that, you've got to give some direction as to how you do ministry. Again, it comes back to your ministry design dictates the ministry space that you are designing and building. Educational. Just figure 20 to 25. That takes care of all your children and your young children and your infants, and then your preschool, elementary, then your middle school, high school, and adults, college age. Circulation and storage space. And then you take the total. So if you're designing a brand new campus and you're doing worship, education, recreation, fellowship, and administration, and then all the mechanical and storage area and hallways, and you start adding that up, you've got to determine how you're going to do this to know that you're in the ballpark, because that 80 square feet that's on there for a total, it may be 120. It just is contextualized to your particular ministry and how you do ministry. So as you look at these things, I've given you an exercise template and a rule of thumb template for both the age group and the activity that you're doing. And the third thing that I wanted to review with you today was a programming example. Now, thanks to a friend of mine, Dr. Warner Lum, who put this together years back for one of our building programs, and it is 17 pages of it for our ministry, an exhaustive programming exercise. But I'm giving this to you as a checklist to see if you have forgotten anything in your ministry. Now, this is not a perfect list, but it is a list that you can go through and look at your worship nursery space, music for worship, adult choir, youth choir, children's choir. For us, we had choirs back then. Kiddie chorale, orchestra, worship, your entrances and foyer, your lobby. It's just one thing after another that the architect had to know he needed these spaces. Here's how we were going to use it. And while this is an older list, use it as a checklist to help you know if you've covered all the bases. What have you forgotten? Okay, so it's just one page after another to help you think, you know what? Some of this is specialized just to our ministry, but specialize it to your ministry. If you're going to put in a gym, you're going to want locker rooms along with the restrooms and an entry and sitting area. If you're going to do something like a handbell choir or drama or musicals, concerts, you've got to tailor this so that they can know. All right, so this is just one area after another as you go down through this to help. And the pretty thorough job he had done for us. And then we built our building. All right, as you go through this and use it, it's meant to be used as a checklist. It's our desire that this would be used to honor the Lord and to further the cause of Christ through your ministry there. And we trust the Lord's blessing upon you as you move ahead with your project. If you have a question or that you want to get to me, please use the comment section underneath this video and fill that in, and we'll address your question both in writing on the website where you have subscribed, and we'll deal with it in the weekly or bi-weekly live webinar. We'll record it so you'll have access to it to help you. We want to give you the support that you need to move forward with your project. So we can answer your question. We want to be able to do that, but you need to ask it. Lord bless you.